I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I didn't even raise my voice. I just packed my things into a single cardboard box and walked out of the gallery I'd spent 5 years building from an empty warehouse into something people actually cared about. My mother stood in the doorway of her office, arms crossed, waiting for me to turn around, to apologize, to beg. I didn't. Let me go back to where this started, because people always ask how it got this bad. How a mother could choose one daughter so completely over another that she'd burn down everything they built together just to prove a point. I was 23 when I came back to Portland after finishing my MFA. I'd spent 2 years in New York, working at galleries, sleeping on friends' couches, learning how artists think, how collectors buy, how to spot something special before anyone else does. My mother had just opened her gallery, a vanity project funded by her second husband. She called it Eleanor Hayes Fine Art. Her name, her dream. She asked if I wanted to help get it started. I said yes, because I thought we'd finally have something in common. Something that wasn't about her disappointment that I wasn't more like my younger sister, Vanessa. Vanessa was 20 when I started at the gallery. She was finishing her communications degree, taking Instagram photos of her brunch, dating a guy whose personality was, I have a boat. My mother talked about her the way people talk about sunrise. Inevitable, perfect. Something that just happened naturally, without effort. I was the other one, the one who had to work for everything, the one whose accomplishments came with a but attached. For the first 6 months, it was just me and my mother. I'd arrive at 7 in the morning, spend an hour cleaning because she hadn't bothered the night before, then start making calls. I tracked down emerging artists from Seattle, Vancouver, even a few from California who were willing to show in Portland. I learned their styles, their stories, what made their work matter. I wrote the gallery descriptions. I built the website. I drove to Seattle every other weekend to meet artists in their studios, to see their work before anyone else did. My mother showed up around 11, usually with coffee for herself, and spent most of the day on her phone or rearranging things I'd already arranged. She was good at talking to wealthy people once they walked in the door. I'll give her that. She knew how to make them feel sophisticated, like they were discovering something important. But I was the one who found the art. I was the one who convinced the artist to trust us. By the end of the first year, we were breaking even. By the end of the second, we were profitable. Small exhibitions, local collectors, a few sales to corporate offices looking for lobby art. Nothing glamorous, but it was working. Then Vanessa graduated. She didn't have a job lined up. She didn't have a plan. She had a boyfriend who just dumped her and a degree she didn't know what to do with. My mother invited her to help out at the gallery while she figured things out. I should have known then. Vanessa started coming in 3 days a week, sometimes 4. She'd sit at the front desk, scroll through her phone, and greet people when they walked in. She was good at that part. She was pretty, charming in an effortless way, the kind of person people wanted to talk to. My mother loved having her there. She brightens up the space, she'd say, as if the art wasn't supposed to do that. Fine. I didn't care. I was too busy preparing for our first major show, a group exhibition I'd been planning for 6 months. I'd found 5 incredible artists, all under 30, all doing work that felt urgent and new. I'd written to them individually, visited their studios, negotiated terms that were fair but sustainable for us. I'd designed the marketing, written the press release, contacted every art blog and local magazine I could find. Vanessa helped by posting about it on Instagram. My mother loved that. "Look how many likes this got," she'd say, showing me Vanessa's phone. "This is how you reach people." The opening was on a Friday in October. We had 200 people show up. We sold 6 pieces that night, 3 more by the end of the week. The local arts magazine wrote a feature. We got emails from collectors in Seattle asking about future shows. It was the biggest success we'd ever had. On Monday morning, my mother called a team meeting. We didn't have a team. It was the 3 of us. We sat in her office, Vanessa in the chair next to my mother's desk, me standing because there wasn't a third chair. My mother smiled, the kind of smile that meant she'd already decided something. "I've been thinking," she said. "Vanessa has such a natural eye for this. I want to make her our director of exhibitions." I stared at her. Vanessa looked at her nails. "She didn't curate the last show," I said. I did. My mother waved her hand like I was being difficult. You do the logistics. Vanessa connects with the artists on a deeper level. She understands the vision. Vanessa had met exactly one of the 5 artists. For 10 minutes. At the opening, I didn't argue. I went back to my desk and kept working. The next show was 3 months later. I'd already lined up the artist, a sculptor from Vancouver whose work with reclaimed wood was stunning. I'd negotiated the contract, arranged shipping, started designing the promotional materials. Vanessa came to one meeting, nodded along, and suggested we make it more Instagrammable. The show opened in January. It sold well. The artist was happy. My mother gave a speech at the opening, thanking Vanessa for her incredible vision and dedication to bringing this powerful work to Portland. I was standing right there. This became the pattern. I did the work. Vanessa showed up for the glamorous parts. My mother gave her the credit. When people asked who curated a show, my mother said Vanessa's name. When press came to interview us, Vanessa was the one who sat for photos. I told myself it didn't matter. The work mattered. The art mattered. I wasn't doing this for recognition. But it did matter. It mattered when collectors started asking for Vanessa specifically. It mattered when my mother introduced her as my daughter, the curator, and introduced me as Eleanor's other daughter. She handles operations. It mattered when I realized I was becoming invisible. In April, we were invited to propose a show for a group exhibition at a major gallery in Seattle. This was huge. The kind of opportunity that could change everything for us. I spent 3 weeks on the proposal. I researched their past exhibitions, identified artists whose work would fit their space and audience, wrote a 15-page curatorial statement explaining the thematic connections. I sent it to my mother on a Thursday. She said she'd review it over the weekend. On Monday, she called me into her office. Vanessa was already there. We've decided to submit Vanessa's proposal instead, my mother said. I hadn't known Vanessa was writing a proposal. I looked at my sister. She didn't look back. Can I ask why? I kept my voice even. Vanessa's concept is more aligned with their aesthetic, my mother said. It's fresher, younger. I was 28. Vanessa was 25. Can I see her proposal? That's not necessary. The decision's been made. I nodded. I went back to my desk. I opened my laptop and looked at the proposal Vanessa had supposedly written. My mother had forwarded it to me by accident an hour later. I opened it. It was my proposal, my research, my artist selections, my curatorial statement. She'd changed the header to her name and reworded the introduction. Badly. I closed the laptop. I turned it face down on the desk. I sat there for a long time, not moving, just breathing. That evening, I went home and wrote 2 things. The first was a list of every artist I'd brought to the gallery, every collector relationship I'd built, every show I'd actually curated. The second was a resignation letter, short, professional, effective immediately. I didn't send anything that night. I wanted to be sure. The next morning, I arrived at the gallery at 6:30. I packed my things, my books, my notes, the files I'd created, the contacts I'd built. I left anything that technically belonged to the gallery, but I took everything that was mine. It fit in one box. I set my keys on the desk. I put the resignation letter on top. I thought about adding something personal, something that explained how much this hurt, how betrayed I felt, how I'd spent 5 years building something I loved, only to watch it be given to someone who couldn't tell a lithograph from a screenprint. I didn't. The letter said everything it needed to say. I was done. I walked out at 7:15. Vanessa arrived at 10, the way she always did. I wasn't there to see her face when she walked past my empty desk, but I heard about it later. She'd smirked, apparently. Turned to my mother and said, I guess she finally realized she wasn't cut out for this. My mother had smiled. We're better off without the negativity. They went about their day. Vanessa posted an Instagram story about new beginnings and stepping into leadership. My mother called the Seattle gallery to confirm they were moving forward with the proposal. Everything was fine, until 11:30, when Marcus Chen walked in. Marcus was a collector I'd worked with for 3 years. He'd bought 8 pieces from us, recommended us to his friends, and was planning to commission a large installation for his company's new headquarters. The kind of project that would have been a $50,000 sale. He asked for me. Vanessa told him I no longer worked there. He asked why. She said something about me moving on to pursue other opportunities. Marcus left. He didn't say anything else. He just left. At noon, 2 more collectors called. Both asked for me. Both were told I'd left. Both said they'd think about moving forward with their planned purchases. At 1, Diane Reeves called. Diane was an artist I'd been working with for a year, planning her first solo show with us for June. It was going to be our biggest exhibition yet. She'd been featured in Art Forum. She had collectors from New York interested. My mother had been thrilled when I'd landed her. Diane asked to speak to me. Vanessa said I'd left. Diane asked to speak to my mother. I don't know what was said exactly, but I know that Diane pulled out of the show that afternoon. She released a statement on Instagram saying she was moving in a different direction and thanked me by name for my support and vision. 3 other artists from the June show pulled out by the end of the day. At 4, our lawyer called my mother. I'd met James exactly twice, both times at gallery events. He was sharp, careful, and very aware of how contracts worked. He'd been seeing me on every legal document for 5 years because I was the one who actually read them. He asked if it was true that I'd left. My mother confirmed it. There was a long pause. Did she take the artist contracts with her? My mother didn't know. She went to check the files. The physical files were there. The digital files, the ones I'd organized and maintained and backed up on my personal drive because the gallery system was a mess, were not. Tell me she didn't post anything, James said. My mother pulled up Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. She didn't find anything, not from me, but she found something else. 6 artists had posted in the last hour. Not about me leaving, about working with me, thanking me for believing in their work, saying they were excited to see where I'd go next. Using hashtags that made it very clear they considered me the person they'd been working with, not the gallery. Marcus Chen had posted too. A photo of a piece he'd bought, with a caption about how he valued relationships with people who genuinely understood art, how trust and integrity mattered more than a logo on a door. The comments were full of people asking where I'd gone, what I was doing next, whether I was still in Portland. My mother's hands were shaking when she put down her phone. Vanessa was reading the posts, her smirk gone. Call her, James said. Fix this. Now. My mother called me. I didn't answer. She called again. I didn't answer. She texted, "We need to talk about this misunderstanding." I blocked her number. She called from Vanessa's phone. I didn't answer. She called from the gallery line. I didn't answer. At 6, she showed up at my apartment. I didn't open the door. She knocked for 10 minutes, then left. The next morning, the Seattle Gallery called my mother to withdraw their invitation. They'd seen the Instagram posts. They'd done their research. They knew who'd actually put together the proposal. They weren't interested in moving forward with people who took credit for others' work. 2 corporate clients canceled their consultations. A local magazine pulled their planned feature on Vanessa. They'd interviewed her the week before, planning a profile on Portland's youngest gallery director. They decided the story no longer aligned with their editorial direction. By the end of the week, the gallery had lost an estimated $90,000 in immediate sales and future projects. By the end of the month, 3 more artists had quietly ended their relationships with the gallery. Not publicly, not dramatically. They just stopped returning calls. Vanessa tried to book new artists. She didn't know how. She sent cold emails with typos, made promises she didn't understand, offered terms that were either insulting or unsustainable. One artist posted her email publicly with the caption, "This is what happens when you promote based on vibes instead of qualifications." My mother tried to salvage it. She called every contact she had. Most of them were people I'd introduced her to. They were polite. They were busy. They'd circle back. James advised her to close the gallery before the losses got worse. She refused. She insisted they could rebuild, that Vanessa just needed time to learn. Vanessa quit in July. She said it was too much pressure, and she wanted to focus on her wellness journey. She moved to Los Angeles to live with her new boyfriend. My mother doesn't talk about her much anymore. The gallery closed in September. My mother tried to spin it as a planned transition, but everyone knew what happened. She lost most of her investment. Her second husband divorced her 6 months later. I heard she's working for another gallery now, doing sales. Not curating, not directing, sales. People ask me if I feel bad about how it ended, if I regret not trying to work it out, not giving them another chance, not fighting for what I'd built. I don't. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped holding it up. I'm working with a smaller gallery now, one that actually values what I do. I'm consulting with artists independently, helping them navigate contracts and find the right spaces for their work. I'm building something new, something that belongs to me, something no one can take credit for. 3 weeks after I left, my mother sent me a letter, not an email, a physical letter, handwritten. It said she was sorry, that she'd made mistakes, that she'd let her pride and her favoritism cloud her judgment, that she hoped someday I could forgive her. I read it once. I didn't respond. Forgiveness isn't something I owe her, and apologies don't undo years of being erased. I keep the letter in a drawer, not because I treasure it, but because it's proof that I wasn't imagining it, proof that she knew exactly what she was doing. For the first time in years, I wake up without the weight of someone else's expectations pressing down on my chest. I don't check my phone first thing in the morning to see if there's an emergency I need to fix. I don't brace myself for criticism disguised as concern. The quiet isn't lonely, it's mine. And that's worth more than any apology could ever be.